This is Keyed In with Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. And now, here are your hosts, Max Rabin and Brent Jackson.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Keyed In podcast. I'm your host, Max Rabin.
And I am Brent Jackson.
I think this is the first time we've been back in the studio together in a while.
For a long time. It feels like July since the last time I've been back here.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to make a point to get in here today. I'm still like a little congested right now. So don't worry. Okay.
I'm sitting next to him. I'm within 6 feet of him.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm just like, it's whatever. So it's good to be back. Good to see you. Today our guest is Michael Moore. Michael Moore's with Compass here in DC. Michael Moore is a veteran agent. He's been an agent for over 30 years. Did you want me to say that?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Started when I was 5.
Yeah, right. So for Michael, client experience is the heart of his business, and his commitment to investing in the longevity of those relationships defines his career. Michael's true gift is in his ability to empathetically navigate the hectic real estate market with a calm efficiency that brings order and a sense of humor. That's one thing he's really got to any situation. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, I just want to start off by saying it's like really great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, and like I've known you since like I started in real estate like day uno, you know. So, long time, man.
With Jonathan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we were working in the same office back
When
then.
did you start?
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
When did you start?
My first full year was 89.
Oh, wow.
I started
That's a long time ago.
September 1st, 1988. It may have been 87. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's good to see you. I see you every once in a while walking up and down 14th Street to Commissary, away from Commissary,
Yeah.
Logan Tavern, all the hot spots.
the real estate cafeteria, which is Le Diplomat.
A Diplomat. What to get you over there, Max?
I'm over there every once in a while.
Yeah.
Get the warm shrimp salad.
I'll tell you what, if that place got bombed on a Friday afternoon, the real estate would be decimated.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in, and why don't you tell us about like where you're from originally, your history, how you got started in real estate. Just tell us your story.
Okay. How far back do you want to go?
To the beginning.
God, that's a long time ago. It's like ancient history. We use sundials to tell time. No.
Yes.
I grew up in Texas. One of 5 kids, all really close together. Lived in a house that had wheels until I was in 6th grade. And, humble beginnings.
We're at in Texas.
Mostly Corpus Christi, but we lived in several spots.
Okay.
Of myself and my 4 siblings, all of us were born in a different state. So, we moved around a lot.
Yeah.
So, having 4 siblings, moving around never kind of traumatized me about moving and being separated and then losing your friends and having to I never suffered from any of that.
Mm-hmm.
We moved from Texas to Las Vegas when I started junior high school. So I did junior high school, and my first year of college in Las Vegas. And then I went back to Texas for my second year of college.
How was Vegas?
Huh?
How was Vegas at
Well,
that age?
Vegas was fine because my dad worked at the nuclear test site. So we kind of lived in a, subdivision and a track home and walked to school with other kids in the neighborhood and all of that. So it was all very normal, except that the 7-Elevens had slot machines.
Right.
And there were lots of lights downtown,
Right.
But for all of that, it was, relatively normal. Las Vegas has a huge Mormon community. So a lot of the kids I went to school with were Mormons and, the whole family value of all of that stuff. So I didn't think that it was, that weird. I was pretty thrilled that we were moving from Texas to Las Vegas, because what was I? I was 12 years old and I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was great. And I immediately moved away after my first year of college, went back to Texas and was pretty much on my own, not living at home, all of that. And then I got a wild bug and decided I wanted to move to Los Angeles. So I moved to Los Angeles in the mid 70s.
Okay.
And started working in the restaurant business. And that was great because I made a lot of cash,
were you one of these people who worked in restaurants? Were you hoping to like make it in acting or something?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I was working in a restaurant that most of the wait staff and the bartenders and everything were aspiring actors and models and
Totally.
screenwriters or whoever. So I was just kind of like, I hung around with them and I worked with them.
Yeah.
And I worked in a restaurant that had a lot of celebrity clients that would come in and all of that. So,
Anybody we might know that
Oh,
you
a lot of
worked with or that came?
oh,
in?
that I worked with? John B. the Genie from Pee Wee Herman Show.
That's really funny that you say that.
John Paragon was his name.
Like,
So
I live with my girlfriend and her 2 kids, and I've been getting them into all the stuff that I was into when I was a kid. And Pee Wee's Playhouse,
Yes.
and Pee Wee Herman is one of them. And like Jambi is like, I know Jambi,
yeah,
He's
I-
got the chair.
His name is
Max has the chair in his
Jerry.
house.
right? Yeah,
Jerry.
yeah.
Do you have Jerry? Yeah. So it's, that,
Yeah.
but there were lots of celebrities.
Jambi.
And then I went and after the restaurant business, I went into retail clothing and I worked on Rodeo Drive. So that was,
So working on with luxury goods and
Yep.
How long
Better-
were you in LA?
pardon me.
How long were you in LA?
I was in LA for 9 years.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
9 years, and then I resurrected my retail clothing career after I left the restaurants. I went back into retail clothing, and that kind of moved me to the East Coast. I spent 2 years in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then I moved to Virginia Beach, and I was there for about a year. And then I took a job here in DC with Raleigh's, which used to be owned by the Garfinkel Company.
okay.
And
So
I worked out
for
at
old
White
school,
Flink.
that's like old school department store Garfinkel's in DC.
Yeah.
Not around anymore, obviously, but yeah.
Garfinkel's was wonderful. It was downtown, the Garfinkel's building, and it was spectacular. It was like old,
Yeah.
department store, fancy. And I bought my first Hugo Boss suit at Garfinkel's down there, and I was like, I was it,
Right.
But I was working up at White Flint, managing a women's division, and it was just sucked. I just hated it. And a friend of mine here said, you should get into real estate. And I was like, oh, great.
The classic.
A career, kind of right up there with lawyers for
Mhm.
reputation. But I went and talked with Dale Denton. He knew Dale Denton. He said, you should go talk to Dale. So I went and talked to Dale. And, I don't know if you know Dale, but Dale was great and what a personality and a super nice guy. And he said, go get your real estate license and then call me. So I went out to the Real Estate Institute in Vienna, Virginia. I needed 40 hours of classroom. So I
Mhm.
did that and I got my real estate, passed my exam, and went back to Dale. And he put me in touch with Bob Lashir up at the Chevy Chase office on Connecticut, Nebraska. And they hired me and I quit, full stop, retail clothing, gave up a paycheck, and jumped right into real estate.
Did you just start doing open houses for people? or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I built my business. I started September 1st. By the end of December, I'd closed 5 transactions.
Okay.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Well, I had to because I had no money. I had no job. I
Yeah,
had
you
no
were gonna
I had no
hustle.
paycheck.
Yeah.
Did you have a pipe? I mean, that's just a lot of agents will now they'll either start on a team,
Right.
do admin, or they have a supportive spouse or whatnot, or a cash in the bank. But to start day one cold turkey from your other job, that's
Well, I actually had negotiated a little deal with Dale,
okay.
and that they were going to give me, I think it was like $2,000 a month.
A stipend.
Yeah, for 6 months.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then every time I got a commission check, I would pay back, depending on the size of the commission, either pay back like 500 or 1,000. So by the end of December, I was good. I'd taken
You're more-
probably
yeah.
3 or 4 months, upfront money, and had it paid back by the end of December. But I built my business by doing open houses.
Mhm.
Because back then there was no computer, there was no cell phone, there was nothing. And listings were printed out on a small computer with thermal paper, and it was a Texas Instrument thing. So you would type in what you were looking for, and then it would just start spitting out stuff.
Right.
And you'd tear them off and you'd separate them. And if you left them on your dashboard, the sun would bleach all of the ink off the paper, and you'd like, oh my God, now I have to go back to the office.
Can't see.
So it was kind of the wild, wild west. We had one lockbox key, and that lockbox key fit all of the lockboxes that were on the properties. And it was one of those round ones,
Yeah.
that round key that you
Yeah.
stick in there. And then there was also the 3-digit code lockbox, and all the codes were SPI.
SPI. Where does that come from? The SPI?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. But so it was, back in, it was, But the big thing about it was that buyers and sellers, they had to come to you if they wanted information about real estate, if they wanted to know what was on the market, other than what would be an ad in the newspaper. But back then, ads in the newspaper were really expensive, and we would run open house ads on Saturday and Sunday. And those ads, even back then, would be like $60 or $70, which was a lot.
Right.
And so I remember I'd get up in the morning early on Saturday and Sunday and just start circling, the open houses that either I wanted to see, I wanted to show my clients, or something like that. And I picked up buyer clients from holding open houses, and then I would sell them something. And then a few years later, they would become my sellers. So I built my business on buyers, and then those people became my sellers when I started getting listings.
Yeah.
Just as a point of reference, do you remember the first deal you did, price point and neighborhood?
I remember the neighborhood, and I remember the agent because Bob went with me, because what you had to do is you had to present your offer to the seller with the listing agent there. So we drove over to Capitol Hill, and it was Grant Griffith's listing.
Okay.
And he was with Dale Denton, and I was with Dale Denton, and went over there and presented. It was on, I want to say, C Street Northeast. Had no idea where I was. But we got it. But what you did is you sat down, as an agent with an offer, you sat down and you presented the offer to the sellers in person.
Were there other agents there? Was it a multiple offers?
No. Dude, this was just, this is the way you did it, even if you were the solo offer. Now, if you were a multiple offer, and those did happen, they would usually have that at the listing agent's office.
Okay.
And everybody would come at the same time, and they would wait in the lobby, and then you would be called in, and you would have to present your offer to the seller in front of the listing agent, and then you go back out in the lobby and you wait.
Yeah, that was like the norm for a long time. When I first started, one of the first days I went out, when I first started working in real estate, I was working with Jonathan Taylor at Taylor & Rankin Real Estate, which is where I met you. And we got in the car, we went and previewed some houses, and then we went to an offer presentation. He presented an offer in person to a seller. It was a multiple offer situation, but they were meeting in the other agent's office. It was all very different, very formal. Now it's just like, hey, I'm sending you an offer on a text, and here comes a DocuSign. Right. It's
very impersonal,
way informal compared to that.
Yeah. It's changed so much. It's, when I look back, I just almost can't even recognize that that's the way we used to do business. I remember when I got a cell phone, I got a car phone, because that's what they were, car phones.
Bag phone.
Huh?
The bag phone.
No, I didn't have the bag phone. I actually got a car phone.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, I think it was $1,000.
Oh yeah.
And it had that curly antenna on the back of the windshield on the back of the car, and it had this big box in the trunk, but it had a phone. And I thought it was James Bond.
Right.
I have a fucking phone in my car, and you could pull up to a house and call the agent, say, hey, I'm out in front of your, it was cool that we kind of transitioned into that. And then fax machines came about, because you used to have to, contracts were like 4 carbonless copies, and you had to write everything. And then you'd tear it off, and the gold went here, and the pink one went here, and the yellow one went here, and the white one, of course, was the original. And, when you could fax those to somebody instead of having to drive across town to deliver it, because that's what you had to do. You had to deliver it in person.
Fax machine was the worst. When I first got in, I think we were on the end of the fax era, but it was always a nightmare, because you'd be standing there waiting. You would see somebody else offer come in, or you would send your offer, and it would stretch the entire length of the page. They couldn't read
skip
anything.
A page,
or skip a page. Like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get the signature page, which is the most important.
I can't read this offer, because it's so muddy.
Well, they right away realized that we cannot use fax as signed documents, because they don't come through complete. So, but. Yeah, but when we had fax, it was like, oh, great, I don't have to drive across town.
Yeah.
And we didn't have car phones or cell phones. So you had to call somebody, and then they had to pick up, or you had to leave a message on their answering machine, which you couldn't pick up your answering machine unless you went home or you went to the office. So it was It was completely different.
Yeah, only a couple decades ago, like compared to now, we're operating in hyperspace now
Yes.
compared to what that was.
It's not easier now. It's not easier now. I think it was simpler back then.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and technology, as much as it makes things better, it makes things harder for us. We really have to be on our game.
Yeah, I'm not shy about using new technology and everything, because some of it, I mean, for me, some of it I find very intuitive, some of the new technology stuff, but they're constantly introducing new things all the time. I mean, this is the world we live in. It's like new software, new apps that, it's big business, but it doesn't really necessarily make it any easier once you get used to a certain system,
No, because there's more to learn. It's
Yeah.
constant.
And as soon as you learn it, they change it up. Something
Yes.
new comes out, and it's like
Or they revise it.
exactly
So
2.2, 3.1.
I just always feel like I'm behind the game on all of that stuff. But
So how do you handle this? So I mean, you've got a very successful practice. Like, how do you handle all the new technology from meeting in the seller's living room to docu-signing and sending over a email to the listing agent? Now, how does all that?
well, I love the DocuSign thing. What I do now, and I think COVID probably escalated this, is I do my initial buyer consults via Zoom. Number one, they don't have to meet me somewhere. I don't have to meet them somewhere personally. We can have a face-to-face, and I can go through my whole spiel. I usually do it at my office
Mhm.
because I have everything there, and I do my buyer consult. And the same, well, sellers are a little bit different because sometimes you have to go look at the property and all of that. But leaning into the technology and the new stuff makes it easier. And, I take what works and then I leave the rest.
Sure.
But it seems to be, yeah. I
That's-
mean, I like it, but it definitely made us up our game. I think real estate agents have to be absolutely on top of their game in
No
this
doubt.
market. I mean, you guys know that, there's a big difference out there in real estate agents, and, some are a little bit more intuitive than others. And,
Well, I think that's a nice tidbit there, is that you aim to do your buyer consultations on Zoom, so you get the face-to-face without having to
orchestrate schedules.
Yeah, figure
Yeah.
out where to meet and do all that.
Right.
And sometimes, I do a lot of first-time calls with buyers, new leads. I still just do a phone call usually. But yeah, the Zoom, after everything we've done through the pandemic and gotten used to that, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's easy.
So why do you do Zoom versus a phone call?
Well, because I think it's better if you can kind of look at them.
Okay.
And they can look at you,
It's a
and
little more personality.
I know what they look like, and they know what I look like, and it's more like an in-person meeting without actually being an in-person meeting.
Sure.
Right.
Because I think you can read a lot from somebody that you wouldn't necessarily pick up in
the
just
phone.
their voice if you're doing that. And I really like it. I think it's great. I think people are comfortable with Zoom more so than they would ever be if it wasn't for COVID.
Sure.
COVID was great because it transformed our business, into, pushed us in directions that we had to go because of the pandemic. That probably would have taken us 3, 4, 5 years, to
Right.
get there. And it's actually, I think it's for the better.
Hmm. I agree. Much more robust use of video, taking advantage of all the technology, like DocuSign we already had, but getting other things pre-signed. Like I went to a closing the other day. I would say 90% of the loan documents had already been signed online. So it's like going to an actual closing was way less time.
Pleasant.
Yeah. So,
The other thing that COVID did that I really kind of understand now is that buyers and sellers don't meet at the same time to sign the documents at the same time.
I love it.
Sellers sign separately, buyers sign separately, and you don't have that trying to choreograph 4, 5, 6 schedules
Yeah.
to meet at a certain time to do something where you do yours, we'll do ours, and all of that. So I really like that.
Agreed.
Um,
So tell us about how you do your business now, and you have a team. It's the Ascari Moore Group with Compass. Tell us about your team and who's on your team and how you organize your whole work schedule.
So it's a 2-person team.
Mhm.
It's Panise Ascari and I, and we have a director of operations, and her name is Betsy. And Betsy is she's the one that does everything that keeps us together, which is great. one of the lures for me when Panise and I started talking about forming a 2-person team was that she had already hired Betsy as a director of operations. So she had Betsy in place. And Betsy does everything. She does the listing agreements. She gets everything ready to go. If I get an offer on a property, which I did yesterday, she will circulate it for signatures. All I have to do is talk to the other agent, say, okay, Betsy will send this out, and she circulates it. Then she makes sure that, so she handles everything for listing prep and contracts to close.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else that has to happen in the office. So basically, I can just go back to selling real estate and being with clients and doing that stuff, which I like, because the admin stuff I don't like.
Does she do your marketing as well?
Well, we do the marketing, but yeah, she's instrumental in that, in as far as applying it. So we make a decision, okay, what are we going to do? And then, she makes sure that it happens the way we want it to happen. The great thing about Compass is we pretty much do everything in-house, with our marketing team and everything. So all of our resources are right there.
So you guys come up with the creative idea, and it goes to Compass Marketing, and then it gets pushed out to whatever, to print medium or online or social.
Well, I actually took my marketing pieces, the ones that I had developed at Sotheby's, at TTR,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of brought those over. And I always like my marketing to be consistent, so when somebody sees it, they know it's mine.
Right.
So I kind of adopted that and created a format. So basically, it's just plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
Put the pictures in, the text goes here, the price goes here, bedroom does here, the mailer goes here. I have this list and I have that list, and then there's a proximity list for the marketing, and then everything goes over to the mailing company, the marketing people, and they send it out.
So you're still using mail quite a bit then?
I still do use mail
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's relatively effective for certain things, and it's not expensive. I don't do print advertising.
Right. I think a lot of people have gone.
I think it's a waste of money. I think it's a waste of my money. I won't talk about what other people think it is with their money, but I think it's a waste of money. I remember just last year or the year before, I bought one of those ads,
We all
one-page
did.
ads. Yeah,
Yes.
we all did. And it's like, I don't want to keep the Washingtonian afloat. They can go find other advertisers to buy that, because no one has called me up and said, hey, I saw that great ad in Washingtonian. Will you be my real estate agent? Not the way it happens for me.
We had one deal. We've been doing it now it's been in existence for 5 years, maybe. We've gotten one deal. It was $1 million house up on 16th Street. And she says she saw us in the Washingtonian. But, now 5 years later, times what we're paying a year, we've broken even.
Yeah.
Was it a Washingtonian ad that you took out in just any random issue, or was it the real estate issue?
No, it's the real estate issue where you get the full page ad.
Okay. So my question to that person is, because when you open up that real estate issue of the Washingtonian, there's, I don't know, 400 realtors in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you decide, like, oh, Robin Brent Group, that's the page I'm on?
Right. Or do you pick the one that actually did the big full page ad, or
Yeah.
you pick
We did the
somebody-
full page ad.
Yeah, well, so do I,
So,
because
yes.
it's Michael Moore and all of that.
Got to go full page.
We
you
could
know?
have
gotta
been
go
in the
full
bid of
page.
the magazine where it just happened to open up and it's like, there's Robin.
Dun,
Brent.
dun, dun.
Yes.
I mean, she's like flipping through randomly, and she's like,
Yeah, that's them.
They're the
That's
ones.
them. Can you imagine picking that one?
Yeah, right.
But on the flip side of that, though, when I first moved to DC, I would pick my doctors based off of that list.
Interesting.
So, like, top doctors. My dentist is a great dentist.
Right.
Giannini up on Wisconsin Avenue came out of that magazine, and they're very good.
Yeah.
And my doctors too. So I'm assuming they're paying the same price that we are.
But how many dentists are there opposed to
not a
how many
lot,
real
right.
estate? Though that real estate issue is like, it's like a phone book
Right.
for real estate agents. And how would you pick? Because, I mean,
The
we
one
all
that's
look pretty
walking the
terrific.
dog,
Huh?
the one that's walking the dog, the one that's sitting in like the all white kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty
You got to
funny.
change it up. I mean, I'm into the movie kick right now, but you should be in like a Top Gun, jet fighter. It's like, I'm your real estate agent. I make things fly.
What was the movie? I Love You, Man, where he
Mhm.
took out all the ridiculous real estate billboard ads.
Yes.
You can go for that, man.
You can go for that.
Why not? Switch it up. My quick question though was, and we have people who are always asking about hiring the right person to work with your team. So you said your business partner had Betsy before you decided to start working together. where did Betsy come from? Like, what was her background, and how is she so effective?
Well, Panise snagged Betsy about a year ago from another team at
Okay.
Compass
Got
because
it.
she knew that it wasn't working for them. So she snagged Betsy. And I knew of Betsy, and I knew the team that she worked for, and I kind of thought she was pretty good.
Mhm.
You know, so Betsy was kind of in place, and she's really good. She loves doing that stuff that I really don't like doing. I'm not good at it. It's way too organized. And working with Panise and she's got a lot of stuff going on. And to keep all of that organized, and spreadsheets make me dizzy, and she loves them. You know, and she's organized, and we do this, and we do this, and we do this, and we do this. And, you know, for the most part, you know, she never drops the ball. I mean, all of that stuff that happens after a contract is signed, whether it's a home inspection and a financing contingency and appraisal contingency and getting everything over to the settlement company and keeping your client informed all along the way. We have form letters now. So everything kind of falls into the system, and it goes boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And I'm on all of the emails, so I know what's going on without actually having to do it or participate. So it's great.
Do you guys do weekly team meetings? How does it
Yes.
work on a smaller
Yeah.
team?
No, we
weekly.
do. We do a weekly team meeting, and it usually takes 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
We try to do it on a Monday or a Tuesday, but we go through everything. We go through numbers, production, what's in the pipeline, you know, who's under contract, who's looking, you know, all of that. We go through all of the numbers and everything. We talk about the individual clients because there's people that, you know, there's Panise's clients and then there's my clients. And we're trying to make this so that we know each other's clients.
Mhm.
We had a client appreciation party last night,
Nice.
which was daunting, you know, to do a big event like that.
How many folks came?
We had about 200.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah,
Oh.
That's huge.
it's huge. We did it at the Anthem down at the Wharf.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you share
And-
about the
No, I can't.
details of that?
Can't tell you
You
anything
can't?
about that. No.
Top secret.
This all be on Instagram.
It'll be on Instagram.
Betsy used to be a wedding planner. So she knows how to do stuff like that.
Important detail.
Well, you know, caterers and this and DJs and
Decoration.
exactly all of that stuff, you know. So, you know, it wouldn't have been for her. Well, Panise is pretty organized, and she loves doing stuff like that too. But Betsy kind of did all the grunt work that put all of that together. But during that, and then client gifts and all of that stuff. So, yeah, it was really stressful.
From like the very beginning, though, like, did you guys do a paper invite or a evite?
We did a paperless post.
Paperless post.
Yeah. So we created a list of clients. I already had a list,
Right.
you know, sphere of influence, and I have my past client list and all of that. So we did paperless posting. We started about 3 weeks ago, you know, and the great thing about paperless post is that you can follow up and you have a tracking, and I can
Right.
go in and I can look and see who's responded and all that. So we did that. And
Did you call because we're in a process of planning our party. It's October 13th, but we sent the papers post yesterday. And now it's like, I'm telling the agents on our team, you need to call, email, or text to let them know, just to be on the lookout for the
to
paperless post.
RSVP.
To RSVP.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I called a couple of people because it was ambiguous. You know, they said they were going to be there, but they hadn't responded, you know, RSVP'd and that. But for the most part, you know, I didn't assume that. I didn't want to beg people to come to the party. It's like, here's a party. It's going to be great. You can come or not, you know. And it worked out perfectly fine. There were plenty of people there for me to make the room and go through the room and say hello to everybody and introduce myself to Panise's clients and all of that. I was exhausted last night at 9:30. I was like, we started at 6 and we said 6 to 8, but we made sure that the caterers and everything was there until 9. And then by the time I got home at 10:30, I was like
Toast.
toast. I was toast. I hadn't eaten. I didn't eat.
Yeah, because you were talking.
no,
to
because
people.
I
You can never stop. You know?
Yeah. So
So my question to that is, because we've talked to obviously dozens of agents on the show about do they do client events, and you know some of them are like I would like I think Joe Himley said he'd rather put a bullet in his head. He just said he was like I don't like it, and he does other things. You know, he's now doing like walking tours and stuff.
Yeah.
But do you enjoy doing those events or?
well, this is the first one I've ever done.
Oh, okay.
This is the first time I've ever done this, but this is, you know, people have Holly Worthington has said, you have to do client appreciation parties. You have to do something for your clients. They're like, oh, don't tell me that.
Yeah,
You know,
gotcha.
but Panisse said, we have to do this. And I was like, okay. When we had Betsy. So it's like I didn't have to take on the responsibility of making all of this happen and watching it turn into,
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do it. So we got together, and it was a lot of work, prep work, and,
Yeah.
went down to there and walked the event space and decided where this was going to be and met with the caterers and all of that stuff. And it was a lot of work, but I mean, it was great. It was a great party.
Sounds like it went over really well.
Yeah, it went over really well.
Did you guys have sponsors?
Yeah, we had two sponsors.
Two sponsors?
Yeah, we had a settlement company and we had a loan officer.
Loan officer. And then can you tell us roughly how much you spent?
We spent a little over 20.
That's with the sponsors?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
That
we spent over about 20. Our budget was 30. We went in and the surprising thing is that we had a certain budget for the bar because it was an open bar. We
That's expensive.
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Okay.
Oh, really?
It wasn't. I mean, we budgeted 8 for the bar, and it came in at 2,500.
I wonder if they did per drink, because we just got our budget back and it was $5,400 for the open bar. And I was like, let's scale it back to like beer, wine, and like a
Well,
specialty drink.
Might
I
depend
think
on what night you do it. Also,
That's-
wouldn't you say? You said it was
no,
last,
I think it. I
was
think
it
it had-
yesterday? You said
it was Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. So
Yeah, I mean, you're going to do it like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night, right?
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, my clients aren't.
Yeah.
They're not big drinkers, and Panisse's clients are not big drinkers. We didn't have big drinkers, but I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you want to make that option.
But we
available.
pretty much had a no holds barred bar. It's like whatever you want, we got it here.
Good deal.
So we tapped into the Anthem staff and their bar facilities. So they provided us with 2 bars. So it was full bartenders and all that. What we really kind of focused on was the caterer. I'd say, look, I want to make sure that the food is excellent. And they were great. RSVP.
And the client gift, what was that?
It was candles, scented candles, branded.
Well, I'm a big candle guy.
Yeah. It's a
Can't go
huge
wrong.
hit. Yeah. So we had black and white, and they were 2 different, fragrances, and they had
Nice.
our branding on it, and locally made. So the vendor that we got, she was at the party because she makes them and all of that stuff. So we try to kind of stay local and small business sourced and stuff like that. So
Interesting. I mean, we're having a party, like I mentioned, October 13th.
you can steal my
It's going to
ideas.
sound just like yours because we just got quotes back from Joe Malone and Nest candles. They're expensive, but it's interesting to do locally made and having
Yeah.
that as the client gift.
Well, we have, I have a source because I've done candles before, and I use those as gifts. So that you show up somewhere, or you meet a new client, or maybe at a closing or something like that. And I would go to Amano in Georgetown and
Mhm.
have Adam. I mean, those beautiful candles that he has, and then he would get the branding on it and all of that. And those were coming in at about 30.
Ours are coming in at 50.
Yeah, ours came in.
It's a nice
And then-
candle.
It's
Yeah.
a nice, yeah. It was nice because I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, I know.
But-
It's the parting gift, right? So it's like that's the last.
They grab it on their way out.
Right.
Yeah, and so we had a table and black candles, white candles. It really looked great.
Interesting.
We had a big step and repeat because you'll probably meet Panisse somewhere along the line. She's really into branding. If she can get something that has our logo on it, she's buying it. So we had a big step and repeat.
Last question for me on the client party. Did you guys give Uber like codes for people to get there? Because Anthem is a nightmare to get down there and park.
We didn't. We
Okay.
talked about that, and we went back and forth about it. It was just going to be like huge expense to do
Right.
that. We didn't do it, and I think that we did all right. The wharf is problematic about that, but on a Tuesday night, you pull into the garage.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
I guess it's when the Anthem is in session is when
Right.
it's a nightmare to get there.
Yeah, there was nothing
Right.
at the
Except
end.
for you
so
guys.
that you had the event.
We were there. We were on the marquee. It was
Right.
really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
So in terms of your team, when you have a new listing coming in, are you always co-listing, or are you kind of keeping your business separate from your business partner?
Well, since this is new for us, I mean,
Okay.
we've been at this for what, 6 months?
Oh,
7
I didn't
months?
realize it was that new.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, no, we started in February of this
Oh,
year.
right on.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, if the listing comes in and it's from her contact, then I become the co-lister, and then yeah. But we
Good.
share.
You're
We
sharing that.
we kind of had a list of, okay, these are your clients, these are my clients, and you'll get this much on this, and I'll get this much on this, and we did that, and that worked for about a month and a half. And I was like, you know what, this is crazy.
Mhm.
You know what? Why don't we just like cut the cord, do this, and just start splitting everything 50-50 and move on and focus on our business instead of focusing on, well, wait, on that transaction, I got 75%, you got 25% because I knew them for. Yeah, because it's not who we are. You know, this is not about how much money we can make. And it's really never been like that for me. I've never been in the business to say, okay, this year I have to make X, you know. I'm just not driven by that. I like it at the end of the year when it's like, ooh, that was good. You know,
Yeah.
2020 was crazy for me, and we were kind of out of business for 3 months, not really knowing
Right.
what we were going to do, and clients and sellers and buyers not really knowing what they're going to do. So I think there were like 3 months where we were like, okay, now what? You know, so I went out and got an SBA loan. 'Cause,
A lot of people do that.
you know, and then the rest of the year I just killed it.
Yeah.
You know, well, we
Yeah.
didn't have anything else to do. You couldn't go to a restaurant. You couldn't go outside. You couldn't go to the
Just buy
grocery store.
real estate.
It's just like, you know, just stay home and work.
Well, that's what I
Slacker.
was reminiscing about this yesterday with someone. They were asking me about my TikTok, and I said it all started during the pandemic because we were essential workers.
Mhm.
So I had the freedom to go wherever I wanted. So I was just going and checking out houses and taking videos and showing properties. There was no traffic. I felt like very free during that period when everything was quote unquote shut down, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great year for me too. But I mean, there was a lull in like the sales aspect for like several weeks, but then
Right.
it picked right up.
Then it was like, for me, it was on fire. I mean, what my volume in 2020 was crazy. It was bigger than 2021.
Okay.
But
Yeah. So when you guys go on listing appointments, do you go together so you both have a face with the listing?
we haven't done that yet.
Okay.
We haven't done that yet. But I mean, I think as we start getting into that phase of our business where all of that really is both of us, then we will.
So you've been doing this for 30 years. Do you have a CRM or an Excel spreadsheet where you have all of the people you've touched throughout 30 years and somewhere?
Finally, I got beaten into submission about CRM. Compass has their own CRM.
Okay.
They actually bought Contactually,
Mhm.
and brought some of the Contactually people stayed and are Compass employees now, and that's huge for us because we have that resource. But yeah, no, my goal is to become totally proficient in CRM, and it's got a huge learning curve on it.
Yeah.
You know, especially for old people.
Well, there's always, but it's those systems always have a lot of features.
Yeah,
And so
it's
and you're-
overwhelming.
It's right. And
Yeah.
like the most essential feature is obviously like names, addresses, phone numbers, emails,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But they do so much more. So there's a lot to
Yeah.
handle. There's no
So
question.
I've got everybody in there, and I've got them grouped and tagged, and you know, for
That's
the most
good.
part,
So do you check it like daily, weekly, monthly?
I don't. But that's my thing. My goal from now to the end of the year is to do CRM tutoring through either you know, the resources that we have. I have a session tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, Compass is giving a 1 hour basics in CRM. I mean, I know basics, but I need to get on it and stop procrastinating and get in there and not be afraid and learn again. But no, the CRM could be your big thing.
It
So,
is. I mean, it's your retirement, right? Like whenever you decide to retire, you still have this
Right.
database of people.
Right.
And you can just refer those buyers or sellers out when the time comes.
Yeah,
but
which is
they're in
great.
your database.
Great for us now that, so I'm kind of getting there, you know.
Right.
Going back to your business history, did you have a mentor when you first started in the business?
Michael Rankin,
Michael Rankin.
you know.
Mhm.
Well, he was kind of a contemporary and a mentor. We started within 2 weeks of one another at the same office at Dale Denton.
Mhm.
And within that first year and a half, he went to work with Jonathan Taylor and Wallace Tutt in the basement of the Swan House.
Mhm.
And I was like, ugh. You know, and the real estate market was starting to kind of go down a little bit. It wasn't like exploding.
This is in the
And I was-
1990s.
This was,
Yeah.
90, maybe 91.
Mhm.
And he went and did that. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But, you know, I've done that with Michael Rankin way too many times. It's like, well, I guess it was a good idea. But
so you knew Rankin before joining Dale Denton?
No. We met at Dale Denton, and he was a new agent. He drove a little red BMW. I drove a little bronze BMW. He was 22 years old.
Wow.
He was 22 years old. I was 23 now. So he went over there and he did that whole thing with Jonathan and Wallace.
Yeah.
And
It was Tut Real Estate.
It was Tut Real Estate. It was Tut Real Estate when I joined in August of 97.
Mm-hmm.
I joined, and it was Tut Real Estate on 18th and S,
Mhm.
above what at that time was L'Oreal Plaza.
Right.
Yep. Carol Blatzheim and Cynthia
whole
Green
crew.
and Betty Pear and Willie Parker and
Cynthia's still with us.
Yeah, I
at
know.
At our company.
I know.
Yeah. That's the same crew though those are the first people that I met when I started in the business.
Yeah.
Like office meetings with Betty Pear.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
And
because she was the
being-
office manager.
Yeah, and being scolded by Betty Pear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly.
Yes.
Do not.
Yeah. Right.
You do not want to be called into Betty's office. But, I call it the good old days of real estate. I mean, the transition in the business has just been huge. And
Yeah.
I think when you get caught up in like how it is now and you kind of forget, like, oh yeah, remember when it was.
Way simpler.
What makes you successful?
My connection with my clients. I think any of us can pretty much navigate a real estate transaction, on paper, but it's building those relationships. As last night, I had clients that I've known for 20 plus years, show up at my client appreciation party all these years later, and we've done multiple transactions together, and they've referred me, and that's how I build my business. We all get these lead generation calls like, hey, for this, I can send you these leads. It's like, please do not do that. I don't want to talk to somebody who doesn't know me or doesn't know somebody that I know. I don't want to talk to them. I don't have to sell myself to somebody who doesn't know me.
That's smart.
What about I guess one more really important question is many years in the business, lots of maybe ups and downs, but I know you've been a really fantastic, steady real estate agent for a long time. What would you tell younger Michael if you had to go back? And is there some piece of advice you would give younger Michael?
Everything's going to be fine.
Okay.
It took me a long time to realize that I was not going to fail. Because in our business, and I think that you guys can probably relate to this, it's like, oh my God, what if this goes south and this is my last transaction? Or, what do I do? And I think that really kind of happened when COVID hit. It was like, what if this is like the end of us as we know it? But I always was like, oh my God, kind of worrying that, But when I reflected back, I was like, dude, for like the last 15 years, you've always paid your bills, even when it kind of feels bleak and it's like, you know what, I really don't have anything under contract right now. This is a little daunting for me because, the bills still have to be paid. Everything always happens. So now I just kind of it's fine. I'm kind of coming out of a slump, and I think it may be an August slump, but now it's like, okay, now I'm back at it. So I don't buy into that. I don't get too far into that. Oh no. So I was I would just say, you're going to be fine. Just keep doing what you're doing and moving in that direction.
It's very well said.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of more confident about it because if I look back on my history tells me where I'm going. And it's always been an upward trajectory for me. So there's no reason for me to think that it's not going to continue that way if I continue doing what I'm doing.
Right. It's keeping the confidence in decision making and the career path
Yeah.
that you've been on. Yeah.
I finally got to a point in my career where it was like, I don't know what you guys are like, but sometimes I doubt, am I giving them the right advice? Am I telling them that this is what they should do? And I've finally gotten to the point where chances are I'm probably right and you're not. We can do whatever you want, but if it was me, I would do what I thought, but you can do what you want. Because I think that my decisions about real estate transactions and what we should do about all of that, I think I'm better at it than they are.
I could see you saying it just like that to a seller in their living room.
Yeah, I would. No,
Yes.
I do. It's like, we can do it your way. But if I was you, I would do it my way. But when you do that, you have to take the responsibility for that decision to a certain point. I mean, I always make
Right.
sure that they know that it is their decision to do what we will do what you want.
Mhm.
Pricing, we can do it your way. If we're going to do it your way, then we need a 120 day, and we need to talk about when we do our first price adjustment. So we can do it your way, but you control the decisions. I control the process. That's what I tell them.
I mean, I've also reached a point in my career where I'm very confident in explaining these things to people and not worried about like if they say no or they reject the idea. I'm just like, listen, I want this to be a success for both of us. I don't want this to be some like angry battle. I can't deal with that. And so I explain it to sellers the same way. I'm just like, here's what the market's telling us. The market's going to decide.
Mhm.
So we can go against that, and you can find out the hard way. And then, people are receptive to that.
Sure.
They like the honesty.
Yeah.
And the same thing with buyers. Buyers are always asking me questions like, what do you think of this? And I just tell them straight up like, oh, this is garbage. I think,
This
is horrible.
We need to go, and I won't let you buy this.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. That's, that really gets people on your side too.
Right.
They're immediately like, oh, thank you.
I don't want you calling me in 3 years. If you buy this, I want you calling me and saying, why did I do that? Yeah.
Mhm. Well, Michael, we got a lot of great stuff, and we really appreciate you coming out today.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
It was fun.
And Brent has rapid fire questions for you.
Uh-oh.
Rapid fire. Ready?
I'm ready.
What are you currently binge watching or just finished binge watching?
What did I think? I'm big into Netflix, so I'll grab something that has 4 or 5 episodes, and
Okay.
I'll jump on it. The last one I did was Echoes.
Echoes.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. I loved it.
I'll have to check that out. And I just recently binge watched Cobra Kai. So my next question is Cobra Kai or Miyagi-Do?
I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh.
What is that?
You don't know Karate Kid?
The Karate Kid, the movie from the 1980s. Do
No.
you remember that?
No.
Well, we have to change
I
questions.
was
then.
doing drugs in the 80s.
So,
That's another podcast.
so question number 2. I know you're a car fanatic. What's your all-time favorite car?
That's a hard question. That's like saying, which is your favorite kid? I have 3. I have 3. And each one is made by a different major car manufacturer. So it's not like
Wait,
I
you
have like
3 cars?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're classic cars.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I saw something on Instagram. What
Yeah.
what are your cars?
I have a 1960 Imperial. Imperial was the Chrysler make that for GM was the Cadillac, or for Ford was the Lincoln Continental.
Mm-hmm.
So for Chrysler, it was the Imperial. And they made the Imperial as a standalone brand from 1955 to 1975. And then after 75, they became the Chrysler Imperial. But between 55 and 75, they were just Imperial. So I have a 1960. And big fins and space age and
Super easy to park.
No problem. Push button transmission, babe. And then I have a 1930 Marquette, single year build by GM. It was going to be the baby Buick, but the Depression hit, and they only made it for 1 year. So I have a Model 34 Roadster.
Wow.
And what's the third car?
Third car is a 1965 Mercury Park Lane Breezeway. The back window rolls down.
And then you also have like a Toyota RAV4 just to get around town.
Those
No, you really just have those. Those are your 3. You
are my 3 classics, and then I have my daily drive. I call it my mundane.
Yeah.
I have a 2020 mundane.
Yeah. Just
Do
like
you ever
a
take
Jeep.
clients out in the classic cars? Like we're going
No.
showing properties today. Let's get in.
Well, let me see.
You don't think that would be thrilling?
2 of them do not have seatbelts.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's kind of like, ugh.
Is that even street legal?
Huh?
Is that street legal?
Yeah, because they were not
okay.
manufactured with seatbelts, and you're not required to retrofit
Interesting.
for seatbelts. So I kind of left them original.
There might be some liability there if you're carrying clients around that one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Plus,
E&O insurance might not cover that.
huh?
Your E&O insurance might not cover that.
Right.
Can you imagine?
Your last live concert.
It was pre-COVID. What was it? It was probably like Randy Rainbow at the what's that one over there by the National Gallery?
The Constitution Hall, Warner Theater.
Warner Theater.
Mhm.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, probably that.
Okay.
Because I like funny stuff.
Yeah.
He sings songs.
He's a
Randy
comedian.
Rainbow.
Oh yeah.
Did
Oh,
we
yeah.
go to singing too?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because
Okay.
he's kind of a Broadway guy, but he does a lot of spoofs and he does a lot of political spoofs. He's got great stand-up, but no, he sings. He's got like a Broadway singer voice, and he'll take songs and he'll reword them and make them a parody.
Who would play you in a movie?
Robert Downey Jr.
That's a good one.
I like that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Snarky.
Yeah, even the personality. Yeah.
Exactly.
Last question here. You just won the Powerball. What does Michael Moore do next?
Quit real estate. No. What do I do? Oh my God. Sigh. Big, huge sigh. Go hire somebody to help me make good decisions on that. But that would be awesome. You know,
Wouldn't it?
it would be great because then I could like give money to causes that I really like, and you know, there's people that you'll never have to talk to again.
Okay, but quick question then, though.
What would I do?
Well, no. Well, you won the Powerball.
All right.
What's the next classic car that you would get?
I want a Cadillac. Either a late 50s up to mid 60s. Actually, I probably want something between 57 and 61. 57, 58, 59 were the big ones.
Mhm.
And then they started getting sleek with fins and everything in the 60, 61, 62. So anything kind of in that era right there, I'd probably go with a Cadillac.
A white one. Call you Boss Hog.
You know, I really like white cars. I kind of gravitated to white cars, but
Interesting.
Well, classy cars. You're a classy guy.
thanks.
Thanks so much for coming out. We
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
This was fun.
Thank you, Michael.
I
Thank you.
agree.
Michael, thank you for coming out. And as an appreciation for us, for you coming onto the show, we give a donation of your choice to whatever charity is important to you. You want to give a shout out to anybody today?
Yeah, Whitman Walker.
Whitman Walker.
You got it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Keyed In with your hosts, Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. For more information on selling your home, find us online at KeyedInPodcast.com. Remember to subscribe to Keyed In on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Keyed In Podcast, at Rabin Max, and at Brent E. Jackson. And follow Max on TikTok at MaxwellRabin_properties.